A very good afternoon. It's 2 p.m. Central African time, and that means it's time for FESBC Market View this Thursday afternoon. We hope that you're going to enjoy the show. It is currently 12 degrees, a very, very chilled afternoon here in Babane, but the show is going to warm you up, don't worry. On today's FESBC Market View agenda, the Federation of Eswatini Business Community CEO Ben Simelane took a firm stance on the credibility of the executive election process. Now, Simelane emphasized that every candidate who steps up for these elections is subjected to a rigorous vetting procedure. A rigorous vetting procedure. Now, that's directly addressing and dismissing the circulating rumors that some individuals join FESBC merely to secure a spot on the executive committee without actually owning a business. Now, his comments came during the Manzini Region Executive Committee voting process, which is still underway as we speak at the SETCO premises in Manzini. But these insights were brought to us through a conversation with our business journalist, Nelsiwe Ndlangamandla. We'll enjoy that as the show progresses, but for now, let's look at the business news for the day. Welcome back. Still watching FESBC Market View. Let's get straight into our business news. Policy interventions such as subsidies or tax incentives can be one of the solutions to reducing the financial burdens on startups and innovative businesses. Now, this was an advice shared by the Governor of the Central Bank of Eswatini, Dr. Philip Nisi, who was the guest of honor during the Growth Lab for Africa public lecture, which was held at the University of Eswatini, Kwaluseni campus. Now, the public lecture was on the impact of financial frictions on innovation as well as entrepreneurship in developing economies and finding possible solutions. There's a report.
Here at the University of Eswatini, we have taken the time to reflect on the mandate of the Growth Lab and noted that it has positioned itself to work in collaboration with governments, the private sector, NGOs, and academic institutions across the breadth and depth of the African continent to ensure that sub-Saharan Africa realizes its considerable potential for sustainable economic growth and increased well-being of its citizens. For this cause, ladies and gentlemen, the entire university community is rallying behind the lab. The theme of today's lecture, as you already know, is the impact of financial frictions on innovation and entrepreneurship in developing economies. Although pervasive and intriguing to the casual observer, the theme's implications and ramifications to human welfare and well-being cannot be understated and certainly cannot be ignored. For example, a rural farmer in Eswatini faces relatively more stringent loan collateral requirements compared to a similar farmer in the east of Midlands in England, and a small manufacturer faces stricter loan requirements relative to larger firms. Answers to these and other questions are pertinent to the efficiency of production in any sector of any economy.
The Governor of the Central Bank of Eswatini, Dr. Philip Nisi, says a number of interventions have to be adopted by developing economies to support innovation and grow businesses.
Data has become an essential asset in modern economy. Credit reporting service providers are essential for a sound financial infrastructure that facilitates access to formal finance. Strengthening these service providers, by extension, would reduce financial friction that is caused by information asymmetries. With increased data availability, efficiencies can be improved and customized services can be enhanced. Furthermore, improved data can help to improve forecasts, thus increasing their accuracy. This will help industry players to identify and respond to potential problems and manage potential risks. First was improving data availability, and point number 2 is financial inclusion. Given the high level of informality in developing economies, there is a need to accelerate financial inclusion.
The Growth Lab for Africa, according to the director, seeks to enable people of Africa to grow their economies, enhancing individual well-being and achieve national development through technical change and structural transformation. For FESBC Market View, Nelson Ngamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Matsapa.
Well, the Federation of Eswatini Business Community held the first edition of the Manzini Regional Executive Committee elections at SEDCO, where small and medium enterprises holders are nominating and voting for their preferred candidates to form part of their regional committee. Now, the manager of Business Management Systems, Tulani Zita, says they ensure fair processes so that those who eventually take office prioritize the members' needs.
We first allow the CEO to explain what FESBC is all about so that the people understand. And then we allow the people to nominate because they know each other. If they do not know each other, they must introduce themselves. But if the group is large and they know each other, we just allow them to nominate people whom they think can be in the executive committee for that region. A number like 12 of individuals who then campaign to say what they think they can do for the region in terms of developing the business community in that region. And then when they've said that and the people understood, then we start electing the chair. But before that, we allow the nominees to say, to indicate if they can stand for that position. Those who think they cannot stand for that position, we excuse them. Then those who think they can stand for that position, they remain. Then we give them papers to write down the names of those. After the remains there, we write their names, all the 12 of them, on the whiteboard. Then those who think they can stand for the chairperson position, they remain there. Then we give the people papers, a secret ballot, so that each one of them write the name of the individual whom he thinks he can choose or she can choose, she can elect. Then we count the votes as to how many. Then the one who gets much, then is the chairperson. The second, then is the vice. Same thing, same process also with the secretary. Same process with the treasurer. Unfortunately, treasurer doesn't have an assistant. Then same process with the members, because we need to have 7 members of the executive committee. We have the chairperson, the vice, the secretary, the vice, the treasurer, and 2 members. And in these 7, we need to have a good representation in terms of FESBC constitution. We must have women represented. We must have youth represented. We must have also the disabled represented. I can tell you in Tlangane, it went exceptionally very well. All the categories were fairly represented. First, you must have a business, and also you must be a member, a registered member of FESBC. That means we have joined and you paid a subscription. It doesn't mean you have to be a member for such a period of time. You just become a member, then you stand for the elections.
Right, there's more of the Federation of Eswatini Business Community after the break.
Eswatini TV will be at the International Trade Fair 2024, bringing you exciting opportunities to connect with a wider audience and boost your brand visibility. ESTVA is offering incredible specials that include 5-minute on-location interviews, engaging viewers directly, spot advertisements, 30 seconds congratulatory messages, and much more. Do not miss out on this chance to increase brand awareness, generate lead and sales. Our details are displayed on the screen.
All right, it has just gone 11 minutes after 2. Welcome back to the program. You're still watching Market View, the FESBC edition this Thursday. Getting into a very exciting segment, the Enterprise Watch segment. We want to spotlight the Federation of Eswatini Business Community, which says all efforts are being put in place to help small and medium enterprises under the Federation so that they find business success. Now, this was said by Sibongile Sikudla, who is the resource mobilizer in the Secretariat, who further shared that they will mobilize resources to help their members to take advantage of different markets.
In 2024 and beyond, we want to make sure, as FESBC at national level, that we change the narrative of indigenous business owners, particularly the small and medium ones, because for a long time they've been looking for resources of strengthening their businesses and strengthen their livelihoods. So with the new systems in place that also ensures that resources are availed, we want to make sure that no one is not able to access information, to access capacity on how they can best resource mobilize for their small and medium businesses, and also ensure that their membership is grown and happy.
All right, very, very interesting. But let's get into an even more interesting development now. Our business journalist Nelson Ndlangamandla sat down with the Chief Executive Officer at the Federation of Eswatini Business Community, Mr. Ben Simelane, who says all candidates who stand up for executive elections go through an intensive vetting process. Now, he dispelled rumors that there are some people who just join FESBC mainly to be in the executive committee without owning any business. The Chief Executive Officer was speaking during the Manzini Region Executive Committee voting process at SEDCO premises in Manzini.
CEO, we meet again. Welcome to FESBC Market View. The two speakers in our previous stories have already said that you are conducting elections, but I want you to talk to us about the vetting process. How do you ensure that these people that you are putting forward to lead in this organization are vetted and they are the rightful candidates?
Thanks for having me this morning. Today we will just take those that have been voted into office, and then we will spend the next 2 weeks vetting those names, checking. I can't reveal where we check, but we do check the background of the individuals so that at least we know the people that we will be working with.
How do you ensure that the election process is fair?
We make sure that there is fairness by making it a secret ballot so that each person votes for the best candidate based on what the candidate mentioned. Because before we start voting, we allow those that have been nominated to introduce themselves, inform the members on the businesses they're involved in, as well as what they expect to do for the business people. So in a way, they're marketing themselves. So everyone gets that chance, and then at the end of that, they start voting.
Mm-hmm. You started this process in Hlangano. You are in Manzini today. How is the voter turnout?
We had a very, very good turnout. We were at Hlangano, where we conducted elections for Eswatini region. We had about 80 participants, both members and aspiring people to be members. We actually, because some of them were not aware about the details on joining, how much it is, etc., etc. So we gave them up till the end of September to do the payments, and then once they are paid, then they become full members. But we had a very good turnout. They were excited and eager. They were eager to start working.
You are talking about 80 members, CEO in Hlangano. From what you have shared with us, FESBC has over 3,000 members. Will the voting be fair if you are talking about such a small number?
Shiselweni is probably a region which hasn't been active as far as FESBC activities are concerned. So we believe that now that we have a committee, we will have people on the ground mobilizing, and we look forward to have those numbers going up, tripling from what it is now. But at least the 80 that we saw that attended, they were eager, they were motivated. We know that they will carry the aspirations of FESBC forward.
FESBC in the past, CEO, I'm sorry I have to ask this question, has been viewed by some quarters as being more political than pushing the agenda of uplifting small and medium enterprises. How will you work towards changing this narrative?
You'll be surprised that in most areas there are more business people than what the eye meets. But people are maybe not coming out because they are facing individual problems. So most of them, when we talk, they mention that they need assistance from crafting business plan, getting capital to start the projects, and maybe being assisted as well to run the projects efficiently. So most business people do need assistance. You can see that they are struggling, but you see that they want to succeed in their businesses. So when we come in, we just tell them that, look, we want to hold hands. We want to go this journey together. Wherever you need advocacy, whatever help you need, FESBC will be there to assist you. So FESBC is all about holding hands with business people who need assistance in succeeding in their businesses.
Well said, CEO. What will happen to those who would be found to be diverting from the mandate of FESBC?
FESBC has a constitution, which is the highest document that directs us. We're guided by the Constitution. The Constitution is clear. FESBC is all about assisting business people, making it in the businesses. But in the journey, you may find that there are things which needs to be addressed. They could be political, they could be financial, various. So sometimes when maybe we advocate for certain acts, certain laws, certain bills which will favor the business people, sometimes maybe you may find that we are now trespassing into politics, when in actual fact that's not the aim for FESBC. But sometimes you need to talk about those guidelines, those policies that affect them. It's mainly advocating for the business people, but it's not that FESBC is not a political organization.
FESBC has been here for some time. The membership is around 3,500. What will you do to ensure that you increase your membership?
It all starts from orientation. First and foremost, we will call them and orient them on what FESBC is all about. And then we will share with them the Constitution, which is the ultimate rule within guidance within FESBC, which is clear. And then we'll share the strategic plan. The strategic plan is the roadmap that we expect all regions to follow. We have got 5 pillars, which we expect all of them to align to. The membership, we need more members, not just for the sake of having members, but we want to grow FESBC so that more people get assisted. Governance, we need to assist them in how to govern their organization in the regions. Capacity building, that's where training comes in. They need to be trained. They may have little knowledge here and there, but we need to reinforce training so that they understand their role in the business. So it's all about training, retraining, and also emphasizing on the mandate for FESBC, which is clear in the strategic plan. So we will align them to the strategic plan, which is a roadmap for the organization.
What initiatives, CEO, do you have in place to capacitate small and medium enterprises under FESBC?
Thank you. I would like to invite all our members, potential members as well, that they must come through. We will be having a seminar on the 3rd of September at Mavuso Trade Center. We want to go this journey together with you. There are a lot of opportunities out there, some of which you may not be able to know as an individual. So if we come together, we will assist one another. There are a lot of opportunities. We would love to see all Swazi businesses, especially indigenous businesses, having sustainable operations businesses so that they're able to succeed wherever they are. It's possible. I can say that it's possible, and together we can make it.
Siyabonga kakhulu, CEO, for being with us on the show. We are hoping that those that will be voted into office will bring good governance. And good governance, CEO, means that people will be held accountable by the owners of the small and medium enterprises. Siyathemba ukuthi the next time we meet, utabe sewusitshela ukuthi bobani lese batawuhola le tifundza letahlukene ka FESBC.
Right, in the interest of time, let's just jump straight into our financials or markets updates. Sanele Sbia joins us virtually. Sanele, time's running tight. Can you give us a quick overview of today's global market performance? We are seeing declines in the US, mixed results in Asia, a positive trend in Europe, slight gains in the South African markets, and no movement in Eswatini. What's driving these varied outcomes across the different regions?
Thank you, Mr. Nimado, and good afternoon to the viewer. So what we are seeing here in the US is actually a story of NVIDIA. That's a company that investors have been looking into in terms of the AI movements, and we've seen a lot of bullish investments going through for NVIDIA, and then when now they didn't post the profits that businesses expected, that investors expected, then that tend to push the price down. So if you look at what is happening in the US, we're seeing losses against all the major currencies, against all the major indices that we are tracking in the US. That's possibly due to the issue of NVIDIA. And also the markets are expecting they were expecting, around a 37 billion earning. And what we saw was, NVIDIA posting around 32 billion earning, which was still above what markets expected. But, in terms of the bullish investors, and we've seen that rise in NVIDIA purely driven by what markets were expecting in terms of the power of generative AI. So that's why we're seeing the US really not pulling on well. And also given the fact that markets are waiting to see if there is going to be more movements happening within. They are awaiting the data on consumer expenditure data, which is going to be released tomorrow. So that is actually going to affirm whether the Federal Reserve Bank is going to start cutting interest rates in September, because, as the Feds always say, they want to be sure before they cut down on interest rates. And then moving into London, what we are seeing happening across Europe is Europe seems not to be responding to the NVIDIA NVIDIA issue. So the balancing factor there, Mr. Nxumalo, is the fact that we are seeing inflation in the Eurozone really coming down back to all-time lows, and that is actually bolstering hopes that interest rates are going to cut further later in the year. And, the same thing is happening in London. So that means we should actually start seeing that rebalancing of portfolios with investors going into other segments of the market, moving away from the tech giant sector. But still, the performance there in terms of the miners, the miners are still pulling ahead and pulling the UK market up particularly. But if you look into Germany and France, that's more the story of inflation, with German inflation signaling that it's coming down, and also with Spanish inflation signaling that it's down. So markets are taking that in good strides. So if we move on to Asia, what we are seeing there are those mixed reactions happening between in Japan and in mainland China. We're seeing only Hong Kong just surging on forward with some marginal gains. What is pushing that move, Mr. Nxumalo, is the fact that Japan is actually awaiting the US data to come out, and also the fact that we've seen NVIDIA not performing very well. So that's weighing heavily on the Japanese tech sector as well, which has actually pulled the markets down. And then in mainland China, it's the same story, though we're seeing companies like Huawei really posting positive gains. But what we're seeing there is we did expect, generative AI to take over the smartphone sector, but then with the poor performance, not poor, it was a good performance, but far below the 37 billion that markets expected to pan out from NVIDIA. Then that's why we're seeing those stocks pulling down as well in mainland China. But then as well, what we're expecting is China was supposed to be driven by that electronic vehicle and those self-driving vehicles. So now the performance within NVIDIA showing that AI is just not where the market wanted to be. And then that's why we're seeing the numbers coming down. Coming into South Africa, we're seeing those marginal gains in terms of the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. The markets have eaten up all the momentum, brewed by the decline in the inflation rate to 4.6%, very close to the midpoint of 4.5%, where the Federal Reserve Bank would actually be, where the Reserve Bank of South Africa would actually be more comfortable with cutting those rates. So what we're seeing is, though markets remain steady and upbeat and still awaiting the news to come out from the US and the potential interest rate cut due in the next month in South Africa and in the US. So markets are just upbeat to that possibility, Mr. Nxumalo. And then, like you said, domestically, we are not seeing any changes.
Well, let's, I think we have like a minute and a half. Just a quick overview on what is happening in the commodity space. Gold is up by 0.67%. Brent crude remains relatively flat. What's behind the recent increase in gold prices, and should we expect Brent crude to remain stable in the short term?
So what we're seeing with Brent crude, it's relatively on what one would call a pendulum type of movement, purely because of the tensions in the Middle East, and then there's the Libyan crisis, and we've seen those tensions trickle into the Red Sea. There was one oil tank which was affected and was being attacked. So markets are a bit anxious on that, but then the issue also remains is that of the poor supply and still no clear direction in terms of demand going forward. So that's why we're seeing NVIDIA, we're seeing the Brent crude pendulum in between the 75 to the 80 region, purely because it's still trying to get into an understanding of those issues. And then in terms of Brent of gold, what we're seeing there is gold is benefiting on the fact that the stocks didn't perform very well yesterday. And the dollar is gaining a bit of strength in the markets if you compare it to the euro and also to the Japanese yen. So gold still remains relatively upbeat while we are awaiting the data to come out tomorrow, and we do expect the price of gold to actually start coming down once we have a clearer path in terms of the monetary policy path, because then you expect traders to shift back to equities, amid a softer lending environment. environment. And then in terms of currencies, what we're seeing is the Langen is very strong today against all major currencies. So we're seeing some slight movements in terms of the dollar coming down to the 1760 region, 1960 region against the euro, and around the 810 region or 814 region against the Japanese yen. So that's on the background of that very strong positive data coming out of the Southern Africa in terms of the the inflation rate coming closer to the midpoint, signaling that we should see a lot of movement. And then also in terms of the expectation of an interest rate cut in the US, that's also viewing the currency, pushing it upwards because there is that renewed faith in the currency market, Mr. Ngoma. Thank you.
Sanele, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Hopefully all our viewers really enjoyed those insights and they'll be taking heed to them. We've come to the end of our program today. We hope that you'll enjoy the rest of this evening. And yeah, let's see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.